But after a few moments of thought, what you would do is you'd bring them right back here, right back to St. Andrew's Church and to this host. And they would be truly perplexed. Are you telling me that that's the strongest thing you have? That's your most impressive reality? Can't you just crumble it? It looks like nothing. Until you would begin to tell them the story. God so loved the world that he gave away his only begotten Son. What we are really celebrating tonight in the Holy Eucharist is this: that the love of God is the strongest reality in this world because it conquered the one thing that could conquer us, and that is sin. And that love that is at the heart of God has passed over into the sacraments, but preeminently the sacrament of the Eucharist. There is the strongest reality on the face of the earth. Nothing has been able to weaken it, change it, alter it, or destroy it. Real love cannot and will not remain indifferent or powerless in the face of human need. Love, real love, authentic love, puts its life on the line. Counterfeit love flees at the very first instance of trial and difficulty. But not real love. Real love remains. It puts its life on the line. This is my body. And just in case we don't get that message, we go on. This is my body given up for you. Self-giving is the true nature of love. Not what you and I could find in any cheap $5 romance novel. That's not love. That is. And then there's a third part to this. This is where you and I have to be involved. It's not only this is my body. It's not only this is my body given up for you. Do this. Do this in memory of me. Real love is an action. Love is beyond words, but not beyond actions. The presence of Christ here in the Eucharist tells us this. You know, I learned this in a very poignant way when I bought my first car. Now, I got to tell you, I am the least mechanical person I know. So I was finishing my second year in the seminary. I was 20, and I got a job in Wildwood washing dishes at a restaurant, and I needed to buy a car. Now, I should have known that the car I bought was a dud for two reasons. First of all, it cost $50. And secondly, it was purple. But you know what? I was young, I was dumb, so I packed up my $50 purple car with all my stuff, and I'm heading down the Atlantic City Expressway, and no sooner do I go on the Garden State Parkway, bam! Flat tire. Not a problem. I'll just change it. Now, do you think for $50 you get a spare? Or a jack? Now, this is pre-cell phone, 1975. So I'm standing at the side of the road, and by the way, I wouldn't even know how to change a tire. I don't know how to do those things. And I'm standing there, I'm thinking to myself, okay, who do you pray to get a car and a tire? And the car pulled up, and a woman got out of the car, and she came over to me and she said, "Is there something I could do to help you?" I said, "Ma'am, I honestly don't know," and I explained what I just explained to you. She said, "You know, believe it or not, we have the same car. It's not this ugly purple, but we have the same car that we don't use. And by the way, these tires are awful. They're threadbare. Let me drive you back to my house. We'll get the tires. We'll come back, and we'll change all the tires." Now, I got to tell you, It didn't even dawn on me, maybe this was the first female serial killer in Jersey. I saw 4 free tires. So we went back to their house and brought it back, and we put the things on. And now I'm scrambling into my pocket to get my wallet to give her something, and I'll never forget what she said. She put her hands up. She said, "No need to thank me. Just promise me one thing." I said, "Yes, ma'am. Promise me that you'll do the same thing for the next guy." Do you know what she could have said to me? "Do this in memory of me." So we gather tonight before our Jesus, and we say to him, "Jesus, how can I thank you for the many times you have forgiven my sins?" And what does he say? "No need to thank me. Just forgive the next person." "Jesus, how can I thank you for how infinitely patient you are with me?" "No need to thank me. Just be patient with the next one." "Jesus, how can I thank you for the ways that you have challenged me to become a better man?" "No need to thank me, but help somebody else to become better." See, love has to look like something. That's why Jesus didn't leave it, "This is my body," or "This is my body given up for you." He created us to be a Eucharistic people. That's love in action. So the Eucharist, received and now adored, produces qualities of life within us. We get involved. We find joy in giving of ourselves. We experience that there is a power available to us that helps us in all our weaknesses. You know, Mother Teresa's sisters were invited to go to Yemen, which is a completely Muslim country, to go to Yemen. And so she talked it over with her council and said, "I think Jesus wants us to do this." So she contacted the people, and they said, "That's wonderful. Now, just so you know, you can't wear that habit." And she said, "Well, then we can't come." "Okay, you can wear the habit, but you can't wear that cross that goes with it." "Then we can't come." "Okay, you can wear the habit and the cross, but you can't wear that rosary that goes with it." "Then we can't come." "Okay, you can wear the habit and the cross and the rosary, but you can't bring a priest to say Mass." And she said, "Then we're really not coming, because we can't do it without him." And of course, they allowed her to come. And on the first Sunday, in their little convent, 4 sisters, there were 250 workers in the oil industry, Catholics, who had no access to the Mass, to a priest, to anything. 250 people outside this little convent, all because Mother Teresa said, "We're not doing it without him." She couldn't do it without him, and neither can we. Even what the Eucharist is not can tell us what it is. For example, it's not metal. It's bread and wine. It's not metal. But isn't it a magnet that draws us into the love of God? It's bread and wine. It's not fire. And yet, it burns with perfect love for you and for me. Look at it. It's not large. And yet, it's big enough that every one of us can climb in and find sanctuary in the love of Jesus. Listen, it's not loud, and yet God speaks unceasingly through it. I love you. I am with you. Don't be afraid. It's not sturdy. You can crumble the host or spill the chalice very easily, and yet it contains the one of whom Scripture said he would love his own in this world and would love them to the end. That's sturdy love. And finally, my friends, the Eucharist is not, in the first instance, ours. and yet he gave it to his disciples. That's us. Once you and I consider the tremendous love in the Eucharist, not an abstraction, but love in action. As I said, love is beyond words, but never beyond actions. It begs a response from us. I should have asked Monsignor, I'm not sure if you sing, it's an older hymn, Jesus my Lord, my God, my all. I don't know if you know that hymn, but if you don't, the refrain says this: sweet sacrament, we thee adore. Oh, make us love thee more and more. That should be our sentiment during 40 hours. Make us love thee more and more. Only now, the Eucharist explains perfectly what we mean by love. Now we know what it means to love. It's that sturdy, self-sacrificing, pouring itself out, the core of love. And in that book, he says this: I believe, as I did as a child, that life has meaning, direction, and value, that no suffering is lost, that every tear and each drop of blood counts, and that the secret of the world is to be found in 3 words from St. John's Gospel. God is love. We discover that sentiment of affection and love, and it leads us someplace. We just had Thanksgiving. Someone once said this: Thanksgiving isn't Thanksgiving until it becomes Thanksliving. And so tomorrow, at the close of 40 hours, we're going to reflect on the 3rd L of the Eucharist lived. But as we continue our worship of Jesus tonight, let us speak our love to the Lord for loving us with his divine love and for showing us what real love is all about. Then feast on that love in the Eucharist more and more. Why? So that we can become more loving ourselves.
Tell all the nations how glorious God is. Tell